Hello, welcome to another episode of Manga Monday. I am Jason Hahn, writer for ScreenRant.com and host of Manga Monday. I'm very excited to be talking about Chainsawman once again. Today we're going to be focusing on the anime, episodes 9 and 10, and chapter 113 of the Chainsaw Man manga, which is awesome. Read it. But if you're worried about manga spoilers, don't be. We're going to focus on the anime in the first chunk of it, but you can go ahead and check in the description on the time when we start talking about manga. So if you're really worried about spoilers, don't be. Kick back and relax, and you should be able to enjoy a good chunk of this until that time I put down there. But I, Jason Hahn, love Chainsaw Man, but started the Manga Mondays podcast to talk about new manga chapters of series we love and anime, of course. But you can check out other episodes. We talk about One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, obviously, My Hero Academia, all kinds of fun stuff. But today, I also got a couple buddies to talk Chainsaw Man with me. Steven, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, good. Yeah, my name's Steven. Write for the comics, manga, anime section, and do some interviews as well whenever an interesting one comes my way. But yeah, loving Chainsaw Man. It's hard to hate. So very excited to talk about it with you guys.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to the end of the anime, unfortunately, at least this first season. But oh boy, it's been a lot of fun to talk about, and it's always interesting how the anime and the manga seem to parallel with like themes and stuff that's going on. So excited to talk about it. But we also got Ben to help us out with that. How you today, bud?
Good. I'm Ben. I'm another writer for Screen Rant for the anime, manga, comic sections. And yeah, Chainsaw Man's my favorite currently airing show. That's the order of the words there. So excited to discuss it.
Absolutely. Well, we'll go ahead and jump right into the anime. Let me go ahead and change this so it's there. We go. We'll jump into the anime. We took a break last week because I had some pretty exciting work stuff going on. So
Yes,
we got
you
a
did.
couple episodes to talk about. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But last we left off on the episodes that we talked about. Katana Devil showed up. Everybody was getting gunned down. Makima died. What? I envy like anime only watchers so much because I love it when animes do stuff like that. Like have those sort of cliffhangers where just like, did they just shift the entire series? Like, is this such a dramatic like death? Like everything felt so like, under Makima's umbrella. And so when she gets gunned down in the train, you're just like, don't know what to think anymore. As a manga reader, that's definitely what I thought. And then you read the next chapter, and she's just hauntingly standing behind the guys on the train, and then the cuts away. I loved like her walking out and then being like, "Oh my god, did you get shot?" She's like, "I didn't get shot. This isn't my blood." And then it just cuts to those dudes with just gaping holes in the middle of their chests, like kind of reminded me of Bleach a little bit, with the big hole in the middle of Ichigo's chest, or hollows in general.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then I completely forgot about Kenobi's. Am I saying her name right, or am I Star
Call
Wars?
her Kenobi.
Kenobi.
Call her Kenobi.
Same letters just mixed around.
Yeah. I almost want to call her Kenobi from now on. I like that, but I completely forgot that she's kind of a badass when she wanted to be.
I did too.
How could you forget? She's
I
badass throughout the
forgot too.
manga.
Entirely. Yeah, she's.
I mean, spoilers for what comes ahead, but like she's great throughout. She has some other great moments coming up, but.
I may have forgotten, so we'll see.
I mean, a lot does happen later on. So
yeah. I honestly, I'm enjoying the anime so much that we only have another episode or two. I'm not 100% sure how many. I think it's 12 episodes. So
yeah,
I think
12 episodes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm probably going to start rereading it after the anime happens because I'm thinking it might be a little while before new episodes come out. But anyway, Kenobi decided to save Denji after he was a particularly bad case of being halved.
I love that wording. Nice.
It's from Walk Hard. I love that movie. the accidental machete fight in the barn. Anyway, check out Walk Hard. It's a hilarious movie. But yeah, the fight was really good. Katana Man is, terrifying and all that stuff. But as soon as people started exploding over the white pavement, it's just something that looked outstanding and awesome in the anime, like even way more than I imagined it from reading in the manga. Like it's just, of course, the music and the tension and all that stuff, but just the colors, like seeing like this incredibly clean street of Japan just suddenly like exploding with blood. And there's the one guy who's like holding a woman hostage, just screaming. And then he explodes, and then she's okay, but she's just covered in blood immediately. And I'm just like, oh my God, like imagine being that woman, like no idea what's going on. Just some guy's threatening to like gun you down, and then he explodes into a bloody balloon next to you. Like that is very scary. But Makima's back with a vengeance. Boy, what I just watched the new episode too, so I might bleed these two episodes together. But Aki has a very good moment in the hospital as well.
Yeah, that's the next episode. Yeah.
Was it? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because the episode 9 ended with sort of Makima being like, y'all want to get some food? Like
that's right.
to the other devil hunters. Which
Yeah,
is a perfect way to end it, just such shocking violence and blood everywhere. And she's just like, this is why are you guys so panicked now? I don't know.
This happens.
It's just and it was really good. And then it went into that great ending by Aimer, which was animated by one guy too.
Wow.
Who I forget the name of, but that's what I've seen going around.
Okay.
And that makes that ending even better. Like, definitely one of my top 5 endings of the series, I think.
Which is important because you're working on something.
I am, yeah. There might be an article coming out in the coming weeks of best closings for an anime.
Ooh, good idea.
Of the year. Yeah, well, Chainsawman is not going to take up all the slots because we had to restrict it to one. Otherwise, it would be too. Yeah, it would just be all of them. But
Chainsawman won first, second, and third in best outros,
and fourth and fifth, and in the top 12 slots. Yeah. So I really like ending themes, and Chainsaw Man's been killing it, and that especially was really good. We'll talk about the 10th episode ending theme when we get to that as well.
Oh yeah.
But for the 9th episode, before we move on to episode 10. Some other things that I want to talk about are when just everything with Makima is super well done. Like when Makima walks off the train, I actually enjoyed it better in the anime because you hear the sirens going on and the people panicking and all that stuff. And it just provides a greater contrast with Makima's calm demeanor, where in the manga it's silent. You just are focused on Makima. You don't think much about anything else going on. But I think that the anime did a really good job of just conveying how not right this is. And also the scene where she's with the convicts and doing the hand stuff.
Oh my God.
Like that was really good. And just the shadows on her face in that. Oh, super good. Just, superb episode.
Yeah. It's again one of those moments that I just love to put myself in the perspective of the anime only watchers and just like how terrifying she must seem. Like you go from one week thinking like, oh, she's dead. That sucks. Wow. She seems so cool, to her like murdering a bunch of people from like 100 miles away using some sort of the most overpowered ability we've seen in the series so far. I mean, it elevates her character to like, oh man, she's dead. That sucks, to, oh my God, I don't know what to think about this woman anymore. Like,
yeah, it's like she's very much at this point in the story like a dark version of Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, absolutely.
Where like, completely overpowered, but at least she's on our side. And like, except she's scary. It's like she's manipulating everyone like Denji, just getting them to do what she wants, but it's all in service of taking down the gun devil. So it's like, it's justifiable. But
well, yeah, the episode ends with them pretty much saying like, "Oh yeah, everybody, all these divisions have just been decimated, so we're pretty much combining everybody to be under one division now, and you're in charge of it now, Makima." And she's just like, "All right, well, let's go get some food." She's just like, "This is all according to plan." But I love that the one dude showed up, and he's just like, I'm putting in my resignation, and did you anticipate all this?
Well,
Like,
that was
are you
intense.
are you to blame for all this? Like, essentially, did you see this coming? Could you have done something to prevent all these good people from dying? And I don't share information with public citizens, but thank you for your service.
Well, this is why Madoka is one of my favorite characters, so I'm excited. Yeah, maybe he'll show up again, maybe he won't, who knows? But yeah, he's very fun. So
well, actually, going off that scene you're mentioning, Jason, I mean, it just makes her almost seem more of an unsettling character, more than any of the violence that we've been seeing. Because there's also the point, like you mentioned as well, when she comes off the subway, and she doesn't say that she got shot. Like, she's hiding that from her subordinates. Like, why are you not telling them? Yeah. Like, it's really creepy. It's like, why aren't you sharing everything with everyone? It's what I thought would have been really interesting. It would have ruined everything. But if her, like, the devil hunters who are still employed end up asking her, it's like, well, since you're not answering him, like, how about we ask you? But
yeah,
it's perfect. Like, it for me at least, it made her seem more menacing in the fact that she's holding things back from everyone else.
Especially the whole moment, like, while she's killing all the convicts, the devil hunters are blindfolded, and they even go out of their way to say, like, "Oh, well, I mean, even us who are like training other people, you'd think they're pretty high up on the devil hunter chain if they're training divisions and stuff. They're just like, we're not allowed to know what her contracts are." And like, it just helps establish her to be even more menacing and scary. And that episode alone, like, watching her go from being dead to being even more terrifying. What an episode.
I love you, Fujimoto. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to know, like, how much influence he has on this adaptation. I hope a lot, because
I know he is very involved. Like, he is involved in it.
Good.
So yes, I just don't know how much, but I know he does have a hand in it.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of hands, Himono's outro, I especially if it was all drawn by one guy. I mean, it just seemed like it was, paying tribute to her, but it was also, I don't know, there's several bits where I was like, should there be a censor bar over this? Because these these intestines are looking very phallic, and
oh no, I just interpreted them as intestines though.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, especially if that was done by one person, like, just seeing them all morph into each other and just blood and things erupting out of the blood, and like, it was one of the more, like, visually pleasing. Well, I don't know. Then again, you could go back and think about all the outros of this series so far. We had that, like, Escher themed one, but
which Escher themed one? There were two Escher themed.
Oh, that's right. There were two. I remember one specifically. I think it was the.
I only know about Maximum the Hormone. Sorry.
Which, thanks for bringing that up. I love that just anytime Denji's, like, getting ready to go, that kicks in. Like, the score, other than Maximum the Hormone, like, just even the subtle, like, every time we start this podcast, I've got the beginning theme stuck in my head. Just the boom, 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 boom. Just the bass.
Such a great song.
It's awesome. But yeah, the score is just really knocking it out of the park too. I've really started to, like, appreciate anime and movie score. Well, I've always appreciated movie scores, but anime music is just, like, really, really progressed for me in the past couple of years. Like, I'm a big fan of YouTuber Totally Not Mark. He recently put a review out for Dragon Ball Superhero, which is a movie that the score is just almost flawless in many, many aspects of it. But in the big finale of that, it's just like ethereal and like just letting you focus on the action and how awesome the movie is, compared to like the second movie of My Hero Academia. The finale is happening, and then they cut all the sound effects out for like the soft song, and it just totally threw me out, and I hated it. But Chainsawman, like the score just pumps up whatever's going on. It doesn't detract from what's going on. It just accentuates it.
Well,
And
the composer for this, I believe their name is Kensuke Ushio, but I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure they also did the score for A Silent Voice, which just shows how brilliant they are, because Silent Voice is a movie that has a completely different score. Its score is much more soft and understated, and piano based and stuff like that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
and it's beautiful. It's tear jerking. It's great. And then here he's got these industrial noises and stuff, and chainsaw revving, and techno stuff, and it's also just great, like awesome stuff. So he's just showing how brilliant a composer he is.
Yeah. And I spoke to him too, and he is the one. He did because I was wondering if those machine noises, if the industrial noises were him or not, because like it sounded like it could be part of the music or not. But it is. He didn't want to talk too much about that. But yeah, he also did Devilman Crybaby as well.
Oh yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
Another show with a very, very good score.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He's easily my second favorite anime composer. So,
who's your first?
Kevin Penkin for Made in Abyss.
Okay.
Made in Abyss. Is the score
Talk about
for that,
expectations, subverting them.
Listen. The score for that show is just so good. Like, oh my god, just I haven't really seen anything else that he's scored, but like that show alone, I'm like, yeah, this is top for me.
You done did it.
Yeah.
You've recommended that show on a couple of our podcasts. I still need to check it out, but the art style is very like Studio Ghibli and stuff. But episode 9, I don't know. That was kind of Makima's. It felt like Makima's episode for sure. I guess episode 10. While episode 9 was Makima's episode, I'd say episode 10 was, split between Aki and the Ben. You could probably help me with the name, but the best devil hunter we know,
Kashibe.
Kashibe. Okay,
I'm pretty sure that's his name.
I'm not sure if they even said his name.
He hasn't said it yet.
They did.
Because he's like, "What's your name?"
Yeah. But I'd say it's all Kashibe. Like, I mean, the Aki stuff was fine, but like, I get he's grieving and Kashibe.
Sad stuff.
Well, I gotta say, like, I can't say anything because we're talking about the anime, but I feel like for me the best moment, because it still hasn't been answered in the manga, is when Denji has that existentialist moment about himself, because that's very important in the coming episodes. Because I ended up doing an article about that, where he's wondering, like, did I lose more than my heart? Did I lose my heart more than one way? Like that,
I should be sad about her dying too.
Yeah, like that is a very this part in the manga is when I started falling in love with Chainsawman, because of that moment. Because it was like, that is a very real and very scary, and it just becomes such an important part of his character, that question. So it's just, for me, that was my moment.
Yeah, listen, that's probably the most important part of this episode. But seeing Kashibe just move and like, it's just so, like, the part where they try and trap him because they're being smart.
With glasses. Don't forget the glasses.
He just like ducks back with the spear and starts like breaking them to the side. Like, that was, and that was much better than in the manga, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. As he starts like boxing the blood spears, I was just like, I don't remember that. That is so cool.
I think he did do that in the manga. It's just like in the manga, it's like still panels, so it's like you can't really see how his like impressive agility as much, right? But Here it's just like he's just going at it and stuff.
Yeah.
And then of course he has that iconic moment afterwards where he's like, "You're done for the day, take it easy."
Oh,
he stabs him then. He's like,
"Don't trust anything I say."
Yeah. So
wait, so don't trust that? So you trust? But to go back to his intro. Oh, what do you guys do?
No. I was going to say, like, because what I like doing, like, when I'm watching it, I'm reading the manga at the same time.
Nice.
But because I remember when I was reading it, and I was completely wrong because I was like, after reading this and a few other chapters, like I was like, I can't say anything. But okay, that what happens in this episode, I thought it didn't happen, like that it did happen, but it wasn't as intense as the anime was, and every panel is shown in the anime, and the anime doesn't show anything more. But for some reason, when I was reading the manga, I was like, it didn't feel like this was a big moment. So it does it so much better. Like it's I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah. The pacing definitely feels better and accentuated. I'd say because it definitely just felt like, oh, we're meeting this guy. Oh, he's kicking their ass. Okay, this is kind of cool. But like this is like, oh man, I feel the stakes. Like
well, I will also. Sorry, I just want to comment.
Yeah, go for it.
I will also say that the anime is great and stuff, but we're also coming at this from a perspective of knowing the entirety of part one and where everything goes and who's important and all that stuff. So it's approaching the story from that perspective as well. I think we have a greater appreciation too. So I just wanted to point that out there.
Yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love thinking from the anime only perspective on this because it's just so exciting getting to learn all this stuff again and the reveals, and the anime is just like knocking it out of the park consistently with pacing and how well they're treating certain reveals and certain moments. And again, not spoiling anything, but knowing what happens and how part one shapes out, his intro I loved it because
the outro,
his intro with Makima showing up and trying to get him to train them, but everything we know about Makima, her getting there and being like, "Hey, I need you to shh." He silences her. And the whole time, like everything she says to him, he's just like, he's him. He's doing his thing. Like he's not doing what she wants to do. Like she doesn't have control over him. Which just like the more you learn, the more appreciation you'll get for that intro. His intro there, but his whole. Like asking them like, what's your priority? And Denji just being like, whoever takes care of me. And I mean, Power is consistently my favorite character. And her just saying like, oh, whoever's winning, like, which isn't really true. I mean, she's just consistently lying. You never really know what to trust from her. But that's kind of what makes her even more like enduring and entertaining. But I feel like this episode specifically is like the true beginning of like Power and Denji's like true bonding. Like this episode absolutely showed like how far they've come. And I think Power hasn't even realized how much she's, I'm not going to say attracted. She doesn't necessarily get attracted to Denji, but their bond has just gone from like them screwing each other over to being like, oh, I'm so annoyed by you, to them actively like, all right, let's work as a team. Let's take this dude out. I have an idea. Oh yeah, well, I have an even better idea. High five. Like I love the dynamic that this episode established without even like pointing at it. It just naturally happened. And them getting killed consistently in the graveyard, like,
which is so dark in and of itself. It's like, how many times have I died today? It's like, what?
And then Denji's like brain damage.
Like, and she just starts punching him in the head until he's like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's right.
But exactly what Ben said too. Just seeing oh man, I forgot his name already.
Kashibe?
Kashibe, thank you. Seeing Kashibe move, like as soon as like Power summons the hammer, throws it to Denji, he grabs it without an instant delay, and then seeing Kashibe just, I love that the design choice that they did, where he just comes in and stabs Denji like 3 times, and you just see the impact of it from his back, like 3 blood things explode out of his back, all within the span of like 2 seconds. And it's just the way that they choreographed it and the way that they animated it. You know exactly what's going on. You follow everything that's happening, and it's just, mwah, chef kiss. I really, really enjoyed this 10th episode. But yeah, we got a little bit more with Aki too. He's got a new double contract. I thought that was a really interesting.
Well, not yet.
Yeah, it's a really interesting cliffhanger. I thought. I was
very,
thinking we'd at least
different in the
finish that
manga.
scene.
Yeah, very. They ended the very different
In the middle of a chapter. Yeah.
Yeah, it ends with one more panel. It's like you're missing the big part.
I think they did it well, though.
Oh yeah,
like just, you know, the mystery. Like, what does the future devil look like? You know, they're just.
I like the animes more, just because it's like, what is out there? What's in there? Darkness.
Yeah, it kind of makes me miss, like, most animes do like next week on blah blah blah, and you get like a couple little frames at least.
I never watch those.
Well,
really?
When I'm watching, like, no, I don't want to know.
I will say Chainsawman releases a preview like the day before on their YouTube channel, on Mappa's YouTube channel.
Cool.
Just, you know, a bit of a preview of what's to come. Honestly, anime only, it's probably not worth it for y'all to watch it, because like you might as well just wait till the episode and not get spoiled on anything potentially. But for manga readers, you know, it's a nice peek. And ooh.
For me, from like a film background, I have a huge appreciation for like teaser trailers and what they choose to release. And sometimes it can accentuate the movie or the episode itself. And other times it's the complete opposite, where they reveal too much information and it ruins surprises and stuff like that.
That's why I'm telling anime only to potentially stay away, because the preview for episode 9 revealed that Makima was still alive.
Okay.
Kind of had to, right?
I like
that sucks.
Yeah, so it's like,
and I love it when all the marketing like works together. Like, I'm not going to completely unrelated from manga, but Jordan Peele's Nope. The trailers and teasers for that make you feel like it's like telling you a little bit too much. Then you actually see the movie and you're like, they just honestly accentuated it. Like the marketing and everything was all working together to like not spoil the big parts of the movie, but it just gave you an expectation for them to destroy like halfway through the movie for you. So the ads actually made the movie better. And that's the sort of like marketing that I just drool over when all the teams seem to be working together to put out the best experience for the viewer.
See, like for me, like I kind of wish that every movie kind of did like what Star Wars did, because like just because how much it changed. I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but just because of how much Star Wars changed everything, it's like having a trailer for that could just ruin just everything that it was. And I ended up, you know, because I was curious a little while ago, I'm like, what was the trailer? And basically all it was you just saw the of the Star Wars when it pops up and it going to the background, and that's all you saw from the trailer in the 70s. Like that's all you knew.
I need you to be way more specific, because there's been a lot of Star Wars.
Oh yeah, so the very first A New Hope, like 70s, 1970s. Yeah, like I feel like those are the best trailers. I don't like watching trailers at all, or watching like next times. I love going in not knowing what the movie's about. There's just something about that, because I always feel like I've had these experiences where I watch the trailer and it just ruins everything. So it's just like, go in, don't know anything. So
yeah, I can see that, and there's definitely times where the trailer, obsessing over a trailer, ruins the experience. But yeah, there's those rare times it makes it better. And as an editor, I'd love, like, what do you decide to put in? What's tantalizing? And for me, if you get like good visuals and a good score combined, I'd cry like a baby every time. So that's why I like Man of Steel so much.
I mean,
well, yeah.
I guess we'll have to agree to disagree. Man of Steel's a fine movie. It's not a good Superman movie, but it's a fine movie.
Let us know in the comments if you'd like us to talk some DCU movies and stuff like that. I'm sure Ben would have a lot to say on those. So.
Yeah.
But any more Chainsaw anime stuff before we go into manga, gentlemen?
Oh, we should talk about the ending theme for the 10th.
Oh, it's like we can or we can't, because like what I like about it is the foreshadowing.
Well, yeah, of course, if you're a manga reader, it takes on a new dimension seeing some of the stuff in it. But I mean, it was a very innovative style, like where they basically put a filter on live action.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, seeing Denji pet like the Rottweilers with like sensor bars over their eyes and stuff. I was just like, oh man, this feels like stuff we're not supposed to be seeing right now. And that's kind of the way that they framed it too. It was really, really. It's the further you get into the series, I feel like that's one of those outros you can go back and watch, and you'll find something new to appreciate about it every time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've rewatched it a couple times. It's definitely not my favorite of the series, but it's it's pretty good. It's still better than my least favorite openings or endings of the series. So, but the style is very interesting to look at least.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know, combining like Roger Rabbiting style, where it's like putting cartoon characters in real life scenarios. But
you just aged yourself, man. You
did.
You should have been like Space Jam 2. There's a Space Jam 1.
Oh, I still haven't seen that. I heard it's not worth it. So.
Wait, Space Jam 2 or 1?
2.
Oh, okay.
I had to stop halfway through. I was just like, no, this is sad.
Yeah, because I'd say 1 is still worth watching.
Oh yeah, 1 holds up really well.
I still watch that like once a year, man.
Every day. I have it on my calendar. But yeah, aging myself. I mean, I see this gray here and some up here, and my things reversed, so weird. But yeah, very excited for next week's episode. Next week we'll have a new manga chapter and a new episode to talk about as well. So but yeah, that's about everything I had on the anime, gentlemen.
And like from here on, I think for the rest of the season, I mean, the anime is not. We've already reached the climax, so it's more just set up for the next season from here on out, I think. But but it'll still be good. It'll still be good. Anime only watchers, you should definitely still check it out. But it'll probably be a bit more chill. So,
and he set the expectations only for them to be destroyed, possibly.
What? No, I mean, well, it depends on what they adapt, but like, I don't know. It should be pretty chill.
I think they're stopping at chapter 37.
Yeah, so it should be chill. Like nothing really happens up to that point. That's like, I mean, next season will be pretty high octane, I think. But
yeah, like I think I know where it's going to end, and it's like I want season 2 now.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
I mean, I feel like it's actually going to end at chapter 39.
You think so?
I think so. I think so. I think that's a great way to end the season.
Guys, before I would love to hear more of what you guys are really talking about, but let's go ahead and transition into manga talk, so then you guys can talk with spoilers. Because I haven't gone back to look specifically like, oh yeah, 37 is when this happens, and 39 is when that happens. So that's been our discussion on Chainsaw Man's anime season 1, episodes 9 and 10. We're going to go ahead and transition into manga discussion and full spoilers discussion. Of this time, Chainsaw Man is at chapter 113. Anime's killing it, loving it. But we're going back to part 2 with Asa and Denji's date. But where do you guys think the anime is going to end? I would love it if we get a little tease of Rize, and I think that we'll get the. I would love after credits. I would love if like it's a superhero Marvel sort of after credits tease. Denji just sits down in the cafe and Rize shows up. I would love it.
I would hate that. Because Rize is supposed to be a character who not much importance is put on at the not much focus is put on in the beginning. It's supposed to be a chance sort of Denji runs into this girl, and it's like, oh wow, they hit it off, and she's his age, and this looks like it could be a good romance, only to be revealed that this was all engineered. And if it's like we've got the Marvel after credit scene with it, it's like it takes away from that because you're on guard with Rize.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Point. What Ben and I were talking about. So why I was going no for chapter. So for chapter 39, like it's weird because I'm torn because chapter 39 has my favorite scene in all of Chainsawman.
Oh wow.
So chapter 39 is when the date happens at the movie theater. Yeah. So I feel like because also I would be wrong because I wrote an article about it. I'm like, it's gonna end at 38. It's gonna happen. It's so the Katana Man battle ends at 37, and then 38 is kind of like what Jujutsu Kaisen did for the first season, where like the battle ends and then we have that like it ends kind of like softly, where there's the conversation after the battle. I feel like that's what's gonna happen, and so it's gonna end there, and then the season 1, episode 1 will begin with the date.
I just feel like narratively, it would be a great way to wrap up the season, right? Like it would be a perfect like period on the season, just to have that date sort of, and it would get into question. Like, I mean, you mentioned how your favorite part of this episode was sort of Denji questioning, like, does he care still, right? It would sort of call back to that and sort of partially answer that, and also it would. I don't know. It just makes sense to end on like a down, like it very much is a downbeat chapter, even though it's so important and great. I agree with you. It's like one of my favorite chapters in the series. And it's just nice to end on that sort of downbeat. So I think they're going to end it on that, maybe mix around. Like, I think they might put chapter 38 in season 2. Like they might mix around some of the stuff that happens right after
they could do that
battle.
They could do that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking is going to happen, because it just seems to me such a perfect place to end it, rather than like it's just such a good conclusion. Like it feels so satisfying to wrap up.
Yeah. And honestly, I think it will. I think we will get the movie scene or the movie theater scene at the end.
Really,
especially because I mean it's teased in the intro so much. Like,
that's right. Too. No, that's right. That's right. Because another thing that's right. Because so the anime started. I got excited.
That's allowed.
So what I loved about what the anime is doing is that it starts off like the very beginning starts off at chapter 38. Like, because the whole dream of Denji, running towards the door and there's that eye and it's like, don't open me type of thing. That happens in chapter 38. So that's why I feel like it'd be a bookmark, because that's how the anime opened. So it would end with that.
I can see that too, I guess.
But see, the problem is, because you made a perfect point, and it was like also one of the things I was writing about. So this episode of the anime was when he first questions himself. Like if his heart is all there, then a few more chapters from now, so 4 chapters, so it might be like in the next episode, the Katana Man and him, they're talking right before, and Katana Man is saying, I'm a hybrid, and every single kill that I make, I cannot sleep at night, and I'm terrified. And he's like, how much of your heart have you lost, Denji? Because Denji's like, I don't give a crap. And then all of a sudden Denji's like, type of thing. So it's like, so Ben, you make a really great point, because it's like, this is the season where we introduce his fear. Then there's the point where Katana Man kind of, knocks it in his head that maybe there is something wrong. And then you conclude that with, the whole thing.
Denji crying in the theater.
It's like,
that'd be great.
Or it's like, but would that, like, because I'm so torn, because it's like there's the fact that, it is, to manga readers, at least when I was reading it, I felt rest assured, like that, Makima was like, oh no, you're human, you're fine. But there was always that thing in the back of my mind where I was like, why wasn't she Like why was she reacting the same as Denji in the theater? Why was she laughing at what he was laughing at? And why was she why was she not sad?
Oh, I interpreted it like he was laughing at the things she was laughing at, and he was crying at the things she was crying at. But the anime could clarify that one way or the other.
Because the way looking back, I thought it was like she's reacting the same way as he is because they're both like he's a hybrid and she's a. We're in we're on the manga side, right?
Yeah, full spoilers.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because it's like because she's a devil, so it's like they're both not really human. So it's like that's how I saw it, but I like that idea too, Ben.
It's very ambiguous. I mean, that's why that chapter is so good because there's so much that you can discuss and theorize about in it. And it's just, I mean, it's just, I mean, I think it'd be great to end there. And I agree with Jason that like, since they do have the opening in a movie theater, like it would be great to wrap it up there, unless they're bringing back the movie theater in the opening for season 2. But I would really like them to end on chapter 39.
Yeah, plus I want to see it animated. I want to see it animated.
Yeah, right. A little selfish there. I really want it to be animated. I
will see it animated eventually, probably. But you know.
Well, I very interesting to hear your guys' perspective on that scene, because when I was reading that in the manga, I was definitely just like, okay, so they do have like similarities. Like maybe this relationship can happen. Maybe they'll both fall in love, and things will be happy for Denji.
I mean, you gotta remember, Denji's like 16 and she's like 30.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, that really helps. Like knowing everything we do now, I'm just now realizing that that whole scene, she was probably reacting to whatever he's reacting to, because it's such a priority for her to have control over Denji. And at that point, she wants him to like feel as close to her as possible. So that absolutely feels like Makima control devil. Like I'm going to be reacting whatever he needs me to be reacting to.
So that's why it's ambiguous. And I don't actually have that reading, because I think Denji's sort of doing a similar thing where he's like, he sees Makima reacting and he's like, well, Makima is my soulmate. I'm reacting a similar way. Like he reacts in like he sees her crying. He's like, I guess I am sad at this. And then he starts crying.
Oh, was that how it went down? I thought he
no, that's crying. How I'm interpreting. I mean, it's ambiguous. I mean,
I haven't read it in a bit.
So. Yeah, like I can go back to the chapter and the wonders of doing an online podcast.
Well, that's why I love those sorts of scenes, and that's why I was always like upset with the town mouse, city mouse thing. It's like there's a lot of things that he just showed. It could, like you're saying, it's completely ambiguous. It could be anything. Because when I was reading it, and I like Ben's reading too, is that I thought that, like, because everyone is laughing at certain things and he's not, but then she also isn't either. So I was like, they're kind of both like, this is off. Like, why are like everyone else laughing at things that they're not laughing at? Like, it just felt like that was when I started. Like, I was always off about Makima, but it was during this scene where I was like, is Makima not human? Like, I was like, it's kind of weird. Like, why is she acting the same way as? And then it made me think maybe Denji did lose his humanity, because I remember that's when I was like getting really into, because I was like, he's afraid of that, and he's not acting like everyone else. He's not affected as humans are, and he's more like this really freaky woman who can blow people up, and so it was.
So looking back at the chapter, I think the reason why I have the view that like Denji was sort of reacting that way is because he keeps looking over at Makima to see her reactions to things. Like,
I thought he was just like, I thought he was just looking at her as like that he was.
Well, he's also looking at her because he's attracted to her.
Yeah.
But he's like, he constantly looks over to see her reactions here, and he does cry before he looks over to see her crying. So it could very well be like she's just reacting the same way he is, and and so she knows him crying before he turns and sees her doing it. But like the way I interpreted this whole thing is like sort of he's looking at her for emotional validation. Like, are my emotions actually valid here? And he sees that, she is that way. And so he's like, okay, yeah.
That's why I just like the scene though, because it's like all our interpretations are valid.
It could mean so many things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it's beautiful. This is the way things should be written.
Yeah. And I mean, I completely disagree with you about the town mouse and city mouse thing. I was reading through the chapter to see everything real quick, just while you were going on that tangent. But we've discussed that on the podcast before, how we both have different views on that, on the way Fujimoto uses that motif. And I mean, I really like the way that he sort of evolves it over time. But we're not here to talk about that, or even chapter 39. We're here to talk about chapter 113.
Yeah.
So,
great.
That's right.
Great segue.
Yeah. Holy crap! Yeah.
You bought me a good segue for Christmas. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see penguins. Damn it.
I want to hear more fish facts.
Oh, jeez. So chapter
113. What dates you guys want, Ben?
Yeah, right. I think we have different tastes in women.
You're either an Asa or a Yoru,
I love that.
I either want to be stepped on and turned into a weapon, or I want to hear fish facts.
Yeah.
There's no in between. So yeah, chapter 113 of Chainsawman. It did come out last week. We seem to be going back to the every 2 weeks, which honestly I'm okay with. I think it gives Fujimoto some more time to like polish up each chapter. Also, as a guy who runs a podcast channel where we talk about a bunch of different series, I'm okay with him taking his time with every 2 weeks. Gives us more time to organize some things. But the chapter starts out with last we left, of course, Asa managed to ask Denji out on a date. After he took advantage of a homeless man and, rolled a bunch of dirty cigarettes.
I have something about that. Sorry. I just want to do something really quick. So the thing where we, because we still don't know about, if he lost his heart in more than one way. I was actually thinking before the podcast, I'm like, could that explain one of the reasons why he acts this way with the hobo guy? Like, it's like he doesn't have a heart type of deal. Just so you can keep on going.
Oh, possibly. I still think it's really humorous that you have more problem with him ripping off a homeless guy than him sacrificing a car filled with people.
I mean, I do think that it makes sense that Steven has that reaction, because oftentimes in shonen series or these like superhero things or whatever, heroes are often faced with the choice: do I save these people or defeat a villain? And that's a common choice that you see. So when people make the choice to sacrifice the lives of civilians, it's like, well, that's of course morally bad, but like I'm used to it, right?
But he chose a kitty, so it's okay.
Yeah, and that too, and like, but you never see, you never see the sort of rolling up cigarettes and selling them to homeless. And also, that was a choice that Denji made all on his own. There was no sort of do this or do this. It was just like, I'm going to do this and make money.
And it is like, too, I guess one of the other reasons why is just because he was in that situation as well. Like he was living in a horrible shack. He was eating rotten food. And it's like, he was in that position. It's like, come on, how horrible it is. Like, But yeah, let's talk about the next chapter.
Yeah. So we start out with Asa getting ready for a date. Her, thinking she has all the confidence that she's so darn cute that, just show a boy just a little bit of a good time and he'll be putty in your hands. And I kind of really enjoyed that Yoru seems to have a better fashion sense and a better understanding of like how to get a boyfriend than Asa does. But yeah, the first couple pages, it was really just her kind of getting ready for it. And honestly, for me, like the chapter really didn't kick off until about halfway through when a mysterious girl who we've had so much speculation on who she could possibly be finally shows up. but I might be getting ahead of myself there. Denji and Asa get to the aquarium, and she apparently did a whole bunch of research and just goes on these huge tangents about sea creature facts. But
Ben's
it was
heart is all flutter right now. No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I just the thing that really was the big highlight for me is just accentuating how good Fujimoto is with framing, and how, I mean, this chapter probably took a little less time for him to draw because he literally uses the same format and even the same panels mostly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's very close.
Yeah,
except at the very bottom.
Yeah, the aquarium's a little different, just in the back, but I just love the whole, like, he's putting you in Denji's perspective so flawlessly, just with the formatting on how well he's like putting this all together. Because you turn the page, I mean, most people read their manga online now, so you literally like press the button, and then the same thing appears, and you're like, wait, is this the same page?
Exactly, yes.
Is this glitching out? And then you see the words are all different. You're like, oh no, he's literally just like creating a boring, monotonous sort of thing. And it's just, he achieves it in so many levels. It's just a master class, in my opinion. And
yeah, I wrote an article about that actually, just like,
oh, cool.
Because I was trying to figure out, like, I go a little, maybe too much detail, like how it was, like everything's formatted, but how impossible, like there are ways you can animate it, but you cannot, like there's no way you can really emulate what
Can't you just
Fujimoto
reuse
did.
animation?
Yeah, like he could,
Like,
but it's like
it's the same thing as reusing paneling, right? Just,
but
Yeah.
I feel like it wouldn't be the same, because I was going through it, and it's like, since you're more involved, you're more involved when you're reading manga. Like you actually have to, like if you're doing it online or if you're doing a physical copy, you're always like you're involved in how you turn the pages or whatnot. The only times you really interact with things when you're watching an anime is if you're like fast forwarding or rewinding. So when you see that type of thing happen when you're watching, it's like, oh, this is supposed to happen, but you don't get that whole confusion when you're reading it. Because like you were saying, I had that same thing. It's like, oh wait, did this glitch out? Like what's happening? Like you don't have that same experience, which I feel like is like it really is an important part, because it's like you feel like, did I miss something? Like it's just a very interesting experience that I don't think an anime could emulate really well.
I don't know. I feel like it's the same sort of thing with like, people talk about the page turn, right? Where you turn the page and there's something shocking, and you're like, ah, and that's of course something that an anime can't quite do, right? It doesn't have a page turn, but there are other ways it can make a shocking moment come out of nowhere, right? And surprise
sure.
It's the same sort of thing here, where like reusing animation can produce a similar effect, right? Like,
well, it's like, because also the other point is that is just how the panels are done. Like there's a collection of 3 on each page. They're all the same size. They're all in the same like positioning. Like I feel like the best way you could do that is if you would animate it as boxes or something. I just feel like it's such an important like correlation that you would end up losing in animation.
I think that there are plenty of film techniques that can mirror the same sort of reaction that we get here. It's just
something we even brought up previously in the podcast too, is the scene of Makima blowing up all the dudes on the street. Like that's one experience when you're reading it on a page versus you hear the score, you hear the people freaking out. Like there's definitely different techniques that could be used to do the same thing, maybe even better.
Yeah, and I think in the manga, like the manga has certain strengths with that, like the shocking nature of the deaths just happening suddenly, like the panel by panel capturing only moments of it, as opposed to seeing the progression completely, right?
Yeah, in real time
animation. But like they both capture similar feelings using different techniques. So I mean, I think it's a similar sort of thing here, where like they definitely could capture the similar sort of ideas, but
I also like it too, like the only panels that end up breaking from the norm, like I'm not looking at it exactly, but the final panels on the second spread are completely different from the other ones, and that's when Denji stands up for himself. So it kind of accentuates the fact that he is actually going against, what a woman is telling him to do, basically, because he's always been a slave to that before, and now he's and we get a different. That's when the pattern from both spreads changed, which is pretty.
That's actually one of my notes too that I had that I thought was really interesting about this chapter was Asa wants to be structured and planned and organized and in control. Denji's past experiences have made him a lot less likely to want to, be in that sort of situation ever again. So I feel like it's just excellent character writing because Denji has evolved. He's not the same Denji that even is in the anime right now. He's been through a lot, and us getting to see even little hints of that evolution is just wow. But the more I think about it too, the more brilliant this chapter is because it's reusing the same panels, it's monotonous, and then the end of the chapter, who shows up? The Eternity Devil, which is its whole thing. Monotonous, repeating the same thing. I'm not saying that the Eternity Devil was already at work at that point, but just an interesting little connection there.
It's a great reflection. Yeah.
But also, big tip for anybody who's listening to this who wants to go on a date with people and doesn't maybe having a lot of experience with it. Don't tell your date to shut up. Maybe not the
You've never done that before.
Not on a first date.
Shut up.
Maybe after they get to know me and know me well enough to know that I'm not being serious, I might drop the hey, it'd be really good if you shut up right now.
I mean, she asks would you mind shutting up?
Right.
She doesn't tell him outright to shut up, so it's a bit more polite,
Yeah, she's
stepping around it a
bit. But yeah, so as soon as Denji walks away because he wants to go see the penguins, the Famine Devil shows up. It is revealed that the girl with creepy eyes and the chainsaw pole plug, whatever you want to call it, thing, earrings, shows up and reveals herself to Yoru. And she's apparently War Devil's big sister, the Famine Devil, who we'll call Fanny, which is an adorable
I love
name.
this. You call me Fanny.
Yeah, I think that's an adorable name. It'll be very easy to not forget. And
I still have problems with Yoru.
Yoru, like the name Yoru?
Yeah, for some reason
it works so good because morning and night.
But I'm not thinking from the Japanese.
I mean, it's a Japanese series, so
I'm too English.
Yeah, you and your English brain.
That's like complaining about all the characters in Les Mis having French names.
I still haven't seen that movie. It's too French for me.
Jean Valjean. They repeat his name twice with a Val. Why couldn't he be James Smith? That's
Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, exactly.
Ricky Bobby. Ricky Bobby.
Hello, Ricky Bobby. But yeah, so I guess famine's worse than war. But that also could be War Devil has kind of devolved because what we've learned in the beginning of part 2, with the Gun Devil gone and war kind of being and atomic bombs being gone, there's war isn't as prevalent. So I think it's interesting that famine has grown more powerful, I guess, than war at this point in this story. But she still refers to herself as War Devil's big sister. But she also has the ability to apparently remove. We don't know. We don't have enough info, I guess.
So I have a personal theory that she can potentially sort of utilize devils that have been sent to hell, and she can sort of call them up and stuff, or devils that have been eaten in some capacity, which the Eternity Devil was kind of eaten because Denji ate a lot of its blood and stuff. But that's like my sort of theory. And also it would explain why she was able to bring back Yuko, because Yuko like died and was presumably sent back to hell, and she's like, yeah, I can bring you back. And so I sort of have that interpretation of her powers, but it's very unclear at this point.
Yeah, we have a lot of question marks up in the air, and I think it's kind of interesting. Like, if you're the famine devil, but you're able to bring back and provide things that you need, like it's kind of opposite, I feel.
What I think, like, because I didn't think it go into that, but what I just really liked is how well, like, I don't even know if it is her power, but what she wants, how well that is reflected in the Eternity Devil's power. Because basically, so the Eternity Devil's power, is creating that thing where they're going to go down that same hallway over and over again. But the way she talks about it, she's like, so you will starve to death. So it's like, and that's what happens when there's a famine. You starve.
Oh, yeah, good point.
But it's like, so it's the fact that she is using the Eternity Devil's power to augment what she represents. I just thought that was very.
That doesn't explain how she was able to bring back Yuko, though.
Oh, I have no idea.
That's what I'm trying to connect all. I'm trying to connect all these pieces.
That's way too beyond. I was just like, I'm not even going there.
We might find out next chapter what the but then again, we might find out way later, because it might be sort of like the famine devil's the big bad of the part or something.
I feel like
too early. It's just,
I feel it's too early, but I feel like this is all teasing, like them bringing, devils that have been sent to hell back. Maybe it's teasing power.
Maybe, that would be bring back power, but like a brainwashed power, and then power has to fight Denji, and Denji. that would be very depressing, but.
I think I absolutely see that happening. I don't know if it'll be that for that reason, but when Power made her sacrifice, she was saying like, come find me, but my memories aren't going to be there. You're pretty much going to have to like refriend me.
She's in Parliament now, remember?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
she's
on the way to her Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, she's a politician.
She's a prime minister.
But I just want to say, back on the just the reveal itself, I'm very glad, because people were having the theory that she was maybe Nayuta, aged up, and I'm very glad that this once and for all shuts down that theory.
Yeah, I was one of those people. I thought it was
she dyed her hair, man. She dyed
her hair, aged up, and the little bit of hair in the shot of Denji sleeping was not Nayuta,
But all right, I'm willing to accept it. I'm wrong.
I am not accepting it.
Nayuta is actually the famine devil, not the control devil's reincarnation. That's the twist.
Yeah, I think the Eternity Devil showing back up was very cool and unexpected, especially with, Denji last time he tortured it for 3 solid days until it like begged him to kill it. So, I mean, now if Eternity Devil has any sense, it just won't reveal itself, because that's all it needed to do was just leave them. And like, it's just like, oh yeah, my heart's not on this level anymore. So it's just like, okay, well, leave your heart off that level, and then you're just screwed. But I would love it. Just thinking about this chapter had her like telling all the facts about the sea life and stuff. Just like the next chapter starts with them eating the starfish.
They'll have to eat something to.
Eat it raw.
But yeah, I just don't know where this is going to go. I almost wonder if it's going to end the same way, where Eternity Devil is like, give me Chainsawman, and then I'll let you all go. And it's like, okay, well, here's Chainsawman. You asked for this. I'm kind of wondering if the same thing's going to happen, where it's just like, okay, well, this is actually what we wanted to happen. But I guess we don't really know enough about like Yoru's powers, if like she can still use somebody as a weapon without like killing them.
I mean, I don't think Asa's gonna have access to the War Devil powers here, because
that's
Femi
something
takes
too
away Yoru.
So how would she be able to turn him into a weapon without that there?
So
I
think
wonder.
I think she's going to be powerless, and Denji's not going to want to turn into Chainsaw Man because if the Eternity Devil isn't there and present, which, like as you said, I think that's a good theory that the Eternity Devil is hiding themselves and not going to present a target, and so he has no reason to change into Chainsaw Man. Mm-hmm. So they're just going to have a very long date.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very, very long date.
Which is why Fami did this, I think.
Terrible date too. Like it's not a good first date where you're just like, oh, man, I wish this would last forever. It's just like, oh man.
I don't know. This could turn it around.
Stop the ocean facts, please.
That's what I think is going to happen. Like, yeah, we're not going to get any fights or anything. But it will have to take a while. I'd like to see them connect. Because it would just be such a fun turnaround, just because Denji's obviously like, I don't want anything to do with this girl. It would be really cool to see that, like them starting to actually come together.
Well, a lot like him and Power did. Like yes, yeah. when they first had, as the anime accentuated, like they were just manipulating each other until they weren't. And what's really interesting now too is like if Yoru is gone, what if he turns into Chainsaw Man? And Asa knows, but Yoru doesn't. That could add a whole nother like dynamic to Asa and Yoru's relationship. If this spell gets taken care of, and then she's back to being in her head, it would add a whole nother tension of a whole nother layer of tension if she knows that he's Chainsaw Man, but she doesn't know that he's Chainsaw Man. I don't know where this is going.
Although I will say, she did say that she wants to help Yoru out now. Like she's sort of turned a corner on that. And so if she does know Denji's Chainsaw Man, she might just tell Yoru, since she's doing this anyways to take down Chainsaw Man. Like,
I think it really depends how their relationship develops.
That's true.
Because if she starts to kind of see the good in Denji, she starts to kind of enjoy him a little bit, and then he turns into Chainsaw Man, she's going to be like, oh man, I don't want to sacrifice him because I'm doing the right thing. As
that'll make him a more powerful weapon though. Like the more you like something, so it's almost worse.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so cool.
Well, I think it will definitely be interesting to see, and I think on the topic of them connecting, Denji might be like, oh, I don't have time to stay here for 3 days because I have someone who relies on me that I need to take care of, which could then, Asa's like, oh, you have someone. See, that's why you were, desperate for money to help out this person that you're caring for. And so
it really depends. Like it just, they're going to be stuck together for a long time. So it's just like, are they going to get so comfortable with each other that they start like revealing these things? Like, oh man, this could go so many ways. I'm very, very excited. I think that's about all the notes I had. Any other thoughts on Chainsaw Man anime or manga before we wrap it up, gentlemen?
I'm just grateful that both are so stellar.
Yeah, right.
Great series.
Absolutely. Well, I think that'll wrap up Mega Manga Monday's Chainsaw Man discussion. Go ahead and move into plugs and recommendations. If you enjoyed this, please check out other Mega Manga Monday podcasts. We're on YouTube, these visual podcasts that we're starting to do. You can watch our lovely faces and see where all these voices are coming out of on YouTube. But we're also on Spotify and pretty much anywhere else you listen to podcasts. We also have a website called megamangamondays.podbean.com. But we talk about other series like One Piece, My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball Super's coming back, all kinds of stuff. Would really appreciate it if you check those out. Also leave a comment or follow us, subscribe, whichever way you're absorbing this. We'd really appreciate it if you gave us some more follower numbers. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if there's any bits that we forgot to talk about, or I would also love to hear your favorite parts of either the anime or the manga as well. But I, Jason Hahn, also have a YouTube series called Hanzi and Friends. I do Let's Play videos where it's just really me and some friends making each other laugh, playing some games, and hanging out. So be a friend, subscribe, and we would love to have you. We're welcome. But Steven, any plugs or recommendations today, bud?
Well, I mean, just say I'm watching just because I started missing Ghost Reaper Girl again, just because the mangaka has been sick for some time.
Oh no.
So yeah, like it's been a couple of months now. So I started watching his other work, so Erosio and Vampire, which is a very different type of series, but I really enjoyed it. But hoping Ghost Reaper Girl comes back soon, just as long as he gets better. But yeah, other than that, I mean, Sonic Prime comes out today on Netflix. Watch it. I did an interview with the voice of Sonic and one of the executive producers for it. So if you're a fan of Sonic, I'd say watch the show. It's actually, even if you're a Archie Comics fan, more than
the dozens of you.
Yeah, it's like it's still good. I'm enjoying what this show is doing. So definitely.
Well, that's good to hear. I know you've been very invested in the Sonic story for a very long time. So from that coming from you, Prime must be pretty enjoyable. So yeah, we're not
I mean
sponsored,
there are drawbacks, but it's talking to the executive producer too. It's like why they're doing what they're doing makes so much sense.
Okay.
So it's just if you want, watch the interview because it actually does put a lot of things in perspective of why the series is as it is. So
excellent. Well, yeah, check the descriptions. I'm going to have links to our plugs and recommendations there as well. But yeah, we're all writers on screenrant.com. We'll have links to our articles in there as well. I read a lot of the video game related stuff, reviews and features and stuff like that. But these guys do some excellent work in the comics, manga, and anime departments and interviews, as Steven just laid out. But yeah, Ben, you got some plugs or recommendations today as well?
Yeah. In terms of recommendations, since I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, I'll always recommend A Silent Voice. Great movie, real tearjerker. I believe it's on Netflix, although it might have been taken off Netflix at some point.
I never watched that one.
Oh, it's really good. It's
I haven't heard of that
super good. Highly recommend. And its composer's the same as Chainsawman. So
okay.
Yeah.
What's the elevator pitch on that? What's the story about?
Just go. It's a movie, so just go into a blind. Worst case scenario, it's like 2 hours of your life, you know. But yeah, it's just a very, very good movie.
All right. What was it called again? One more time.
A Silent Voice.
A Silent Voice. Okay.
No. And in terms of plugs, I have a YouTube channel of my own called YGO from Zero, where I go over historical formats of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. So if that's something that interests you, be sure to check it out.
Absolutely. Well, as I said, that stuff's going to be in the description. We'd really appreciate it if you checked out our other projects. We put some passion and work into a lot of that stuff. So please check it out. But this has been Mega Manga Mondays, Chainsawman, Chapter 113, and anime discussion. We'll definitely be back next week with new chapter and anime chat. So I look forward to the next one. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. See y'all next time.
Yeah. Peace.